Hello. So, tomorrow is day 14 for me of recovery from a virus. And I've been very careful not to name the virus, and I didn't get tested, so I really don't know. But man, what a journey. Today is about the current astrology. I just took an $11 webinar from Molly McCord, which I highly recommend. Um, I don't normally do things like this, but I know it's because the astrology of February is really, really significant, really powerful. And I know that a lot of what I'm going to say is subject to my own experience. It's coming through my filter. And the fact that my sun is 13 degrees in the 11th house in Leo, it's really having an impact on me because the new moon is 12 degrees in Aquarius tomorrow, I think. So I'm going to go through notes. And I am going to offer some questions for reflection for all of us during this period. Some relevant questions we can think about. But before we go into that, I would like to start with a brief meditation. So just take a deep breath. Feel the breath going in and out of your body. Observe for a moment your energy. Allow images to come to mind, textures, motions, colors, shapes, stories, words. And just observe that energy for a moment. The power of observation is huge. Just keep observing that with a neutral, even compassionate place. And now let's bring love into our consciousness and our awareness. The reminder that we are loved, we are beloved. Our beloved Creator, always nurturing, always sustaining. Leaving this bubble of chaos that is this planet, we enter a universe that is absolutely filled and permeated with love, with life energy, with brilliance and goodness. And receiving this goodness is part of the download of February. Receiving the goodness that lives within us. Imagine giving yourself or that aspect of yourself that you've observed a big hug, and know that it's all accepted and loved and cherished. And coming back, opening your eyes. Give thanks for your human experience here. It's temporary, it's brief, it's rich, it's really hard, and it's supposed to be. And it's all okay. And we have these moments of being able to leave. I left my body for a split second last night, and it was upon returning that I had an experience I've never had before, a split second awareness of how the life force human aspect of me wants to be loved and cherished, and that it has a purpose. It doesn't want my spirit to leave. There was this reunion between spirit and the body, mind, organic part, the part that dies. And there was so much love and joy, and there was just a split second awareness of the preciousness of what it is for me to be Paula, to be, having this life experience. So, okay, so starting with the new moon tomorrow, there is a big theme here between Aquarius and Saturn. Aquarius, and this does, it's one of the things that really uplifts and encourages me about the world. Thank God I've gotten a massive break from the world. Basically, since last September, I started getting into some very intensive personal development. And it took me deeper and deeper and deeper and further away from the world at large. And just now I'm starting to sort of come back out and just take the temperature of what's going on. And I went from completely abandoning hope, which I think is an important rite of passage on the spiritual path. There was a kind of detachment from outcomes. And now that I'm paying attention again from a less attached place, still hopeful, desireless desire, as it were, I would like things to go in the ways of love. But it is what it is, and I can trust the flow of this great, magnificent, evolving story of Earth. I have an observation that the interaction of Aquarius and Capricorn, Uranus and Saturn, they've been having a dance, and I get the sense that because of the difficulty of the retrograding, there has not been all the planets going direct since last April. So retrograde motion takes us deeper and deeper inside, and it's like raking us over the coals and bringing up our issues, looking into the past, having a reflection. I've just been observing just general relationships with everything, friends, partner, family, the world. And, with the exception of a pretty small handful, I just don't have any desire to connect or relate. I haven't had. And at 3 in the morning, I'm in Colorado. About 3 in the morning, maybe it was 1 in the morning for us, not last night, but the night before, Venus went direct. And the very next day, my partner and I went out and had brunch with some very dear friends of ours. And it was Venus direct activity. It was connecting. And it felt so good. And I was so tired. And every day I'm just doing a little bit more and then feeling so tired. And I feel like it's a real parallel to where we're at. Venus is just beginning to move forward. And by the 25th of this month, all planets will be going direct. So we've been let out of a kind of prison because Venus has been in retrograde since November 6th, I think. And then we had that whopper of an eclipse, November 18th, a lunar eclipse. And we're going to be squaring that eclipse coming up here at some point in this month, which is, if you can reflect back to that eclipse, I know for me a massive event happened on that day in my life, which just said, just like threw up all the dominoes on the rug and scattered them to the winds. And this square means we're coming back to that point and we're looking at what we let go of, what we were done with, what had to die. And Pluto, man, Pluto is doing it's raking us through a death experience too. But so Uranus is breaking into the new, and Saturn is usually, it represents the old structures, the authorities, the powers that be, all that kind of old shit. But there is a supportive, now this is just me subjectively saying, so this might or might not apply to everybody. I've had a very intimate and contentious relationship with Saturn my whole life. And for the first time in my life, I feel like it offers support and comfort and strength. Because Saturn is about actually achieving, accomplishing something. And it can feel really small. But man, once that little change happens, it's for good. Wow, that got me kind of choked up. So I'm going to start to go through my notes here. So if you have anything at 12, 11, 12, 13 degrees, and I'm not an astrologer, but my understanding is that whatever these significant degrees are that are showing up, whatever your degrees are, no matter where it is, it kind of activates it. New moon, Aquarius, the Leo full moon. Okay, so February 3rd, Mercury is going to station, meaning that it's been going in a certain direction and it's going to stop. We're at a threshold where seeing something differently. And Pluto and Mercury are having this huge conversation, which is all about the death of an old paradigm. That's really hopeful, isn't it? And it applies globally as well as personally. The breaking up of old paradigms that you may not have chosen, that may have been foisted upon you by family, institutions, government, whatever culture. I've been finding myself even thinking like I'm obsessed with the Bosnian pyramids lately. And so I'm picturing myself there and I'm remote viewing them and I'm all about these pyramids. And I'm finding myself really looking forward to, if I did go, breaking out of my Americanitis, my Americanisms, the limitations that are just mine because I haven't spent a lot of time out of this country. So that Uranus energy is breaking us out of a lot of old stuff. And also the North Node in Taurus. I was born under South Node Scorpio, North Node Taurus. So this is another huge thing for me. If you're around 55, I forget how many years cycle it is. I think it's an 18-year cycle. So the 27th degree, 26, 27, 28 is another big. So there are Pleiadian downloads because we're actually connecting to the constellation of the Pleiades. So this is kind of exciting to think about the 3rd through the 17th getting a lot of downloads. And this is something that really reverberated when she said this. And she said this over and over and over again. There were 4 different videos focusing on 4 different things. It's time. Whatever has been stuck is going to start to move. What you meant to be doing last year and it didn't happen is going to happen this year. There is a forward movement. There is a sense of what we've been waiting for is finally going to emerge. And last year, I think maybe one thing that held us back is that we were a little bit too dependent on external structures, relationships, ego identifications with, relationship, career, whatever. It was too external. Also, the savior complex, the guru complex. We watched a lot of movements fall apart. We watched a lot of I unfollowed more people last year than I ever have. I mean, like, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, following. Oh, interesting. This aligns, that aligns. Oh, how happy, how exciting. There's this big movement, this awakening. And then this year, man, unfollow. And a lot of that was because of a need to focus inward for myself. But I think a lot of dependence on externals broke up last year. And so what did we have left? We had the self, coming into the self. Just checking in with our own experience. I remember being in this yoga class at one point last year, and I could just kind of feel whatever was in the air. People were tuning into their own experience. It was a particularly deep class, yin yoga. And afterwards, I heard people talking to the teacher about, man, that was a great class. It was so deep and da 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 da. And I just went up to her afterwards and I said, it's so encouraging for me to see people really making contact with their own experience. And she laughed because she and I both knew it wasn't about her. It was something in the air. So, yeah, I found a tremendous spaciousness, a different capacity to be in my own experience. I want to share something Eckhart Tolle said. He's talking about signposts and how, a term in a given religion or faith like shunyata is a signpost pointing at the same thing as kingdom of heaven. So the Buddha's term shunyata literally means no thing or emptiness. And Eckhart Tolle said, I like the term spaciousness. And one of the Buddhist meditations is to imagine your mind as the empty sky. When Jesus said, kingdom of heaven, kingdom is like, this is all Eckhart Tolle's thoughts, Kingdom is like dimension. Heaven is the spaciousness above us. There is a dimension of spaciousness, and Jesus says it is within you. The kingdom of heaven is within. So, not getting attached to the signpost, the particular religion, the philosophy, the whatever, the mind, but feeling into the essence of what it's pointing at. So, there is a dimension of spaciousness within me that I've been able to make direct contact with, sometimes just for moments, but it's like the sun breaking through. I hear the water coursing over the earth in this thing that we call a stream, and I make direct contact with it, and it's just wow. People who have near death experiences and go to this heavenly realm describe experiences. There's a little thought that goes with it, but like they'll look at a rose and actually become the rose. And it's all about this freedom of experiencing. And the suffering and the shit that goes on, the conceptualization, the addiction to mind that goes here takes us away from that richness, spaciousness, the direct contact with experience. So a lot of people have been getting sick, and I think that this is one of the great benefits of sickness, is that it reduces you, kind of reduces you to body, which is always directly experiencing the present moment. You can't do anything else. It's like nature. It's never anywhere or doing anything but being in the present moment. We're the only ones that have this thinking, 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 thinking. It's just ridiculous. The absurdity of mind and ego and concept. And there's this whole dimension of the spacious dimension of experiencing. Okay, I've gotten a little bit off track, but okay, give me a minute to get back into what seems important here. Working through fear. Mercury conjuncting Pluto, asking ourselves, what is it that we've been afraid of? I was on my way to that yoga class today for the first time in 2 weeks. So looking forward to it. And I was going to be late. My inner child just went into that place of, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not going to walk in late again. And I gave myself permission to not have to walk in late again. So I didn't go to the class. And I was sensitive to that part of me that's like, I'm just not up to it today. Letting go of the fear of disapproval. That's a big one for me. And instead, I tuned in to that fear, and I had compassion for that fear. Just held that little girl part of me and let her cry. Yeah, I'm scared of people not liking me or thinking this or that, and to feel into the emotional pain of that, to hold that with compassion. Pluto and Mercury, this dance is gonna give us a chance to get a little more curious. That's what I want to bring to this whole astrological thing, is this gently palpating, bringing curiosity, bringing compassion, awareness, tenderness to this human vehicle that we are, and how challenging that can be. Okay, so February 14th, Mercury moves into Aquarius. There will be new insights, a bigger picture, seeing something clearly, a revelation. That makes me so hopeful for the world. I think we can feel that coming. But just like our gentle neighbors to the north, I'm not going to say the name of this country that's never gone to war. Man alive, I just watched a live feed drone camera. Um, the convoy turned into a nationwide protest. Let's all, instead of just, getting upset about this and having to have that to cross the border to drive into, whichever country, it's turned into this revolt against the extremely, and our gentle neighbors to the north have had a particularly oppressive particularly oppressive experience. All the countries that are, in relationship to the crown, if you know what I mean, I think have had the most oppressive measures, and it's just so great to see them kind of in alignment with this theme of, also the year of the tiger, the boldness, the confidence, the independence, the courage, the individuality. And tiger is wood. It's a wood animal which is expanding in all directions, like a tree expands out and down in all directions. There's this relentlessness about wood, and it's connects everybody and everything. But so is water. Water is very relentless, and it's a water tiger year. Yes, it's a wood animal, but it's augmented by the energy of water because the year ends in the number 2. All years ending in the numbers 2 and 3. Oh, I can't answer. It's my friend Michelle. Can I call you later? Our water years. 0 and 1 are always metal. 2, 3 is water. 4, 5 is wood. 6, 7 is fire. 8, 9 is metal. Always. No matter what the energy of that. Oh, hello. VURFYI. What does that mean? Huh, looks Russian. Welcome to my channel. Okay, sorry. I'm dealing with the exhaustion of having been ill. I'll get on track in just a second here. Oh, so the USA. We are having our Pluto return. So Pluto takes 248 years, I think, to go around the sun. Don't quote me on that number, but that's what return means. So the Earth goes around the sun. It takes 1 year. So our solar return is our birthday. Saturn takes 29 and a half years to go around the sun. So we're in the same position of Saturn at 29 and a half years. And then again, another 29 and a half years later, here's our second Saturn return. Well, the USA is going through its Pluto return on February 20th. So she didn't go into detail about that, but it's huge. I'm going to research that because it's, Pluto is death and rebirth. And whatever was the source of our death and rebirth experience as a nation, I would say what birthed us is connected to what will rebirth us. Okay, so there's this supportive energy of Mars and Venus being together. Venus is what we like. Mars is what we're going to do about it. Mars is taking action. It's the masculine and the feminine, and they're moving together in parallel over the next month. And there's just this beauty about that. So I think we can expect to see opposite sex relationships coming together, being comfortable, being more harmonious, having conversation, and also within the self. There is a growing energy, even though I'm just really freaking exhausted right now. It's like I can see that tiger coming in, the year of the tiger, the Chinese New Year, tomorrow, I think. It's always the second new moon after the winter solstice. That's how the Chinese New Year is marked, and I think that's the first. This tiger coming in is just so bold and so confident, and I think we can all feel something really big and momentous is about to happen, is going to, and not about to happen like it's just going to happen in a minute, but it's like a movement. So yeah, Molly's words come back to me. Everything that you wanted to happen last year is going to happen this year, on a personal level as well as a, national and planetary. Okay, so I wanted to bring this in. There is this Saturn is about the energy of mastery and purpose. And whatever you hear about Capricorn and Saturn coming up, it's gotten kind of a bad rap. And I think it's because the dark forces kind of co-opted Saturn because it's the authority, it's the father, it's the limiter. But when we put limits on ourselves, that's called discipline, in a positive sense. It allows us to channel and direct and be volitional with our energy, to be in our authority, to discover and develop mastery over something and fulfill purpose. That's another big meaning of Saturn, is the fulfillment of our purpose. So this, all the stuff going on with, yeah, sorry, I'm not thinking of it directly, but we're moving from Aquarius to, no, from Capricorn into Aquarius. Not just the sun signs, but the tons of planets. There's just like a cluster of planets making this transition. Um, Gosh, I'm sorry, I keep losing my train of thought, but that Saturn is about us stepping into our power, our volition, just like what's happening up north. Instead of waiting for the authorities, instead of waiting for our guy, instead of waiting for our political party, our leaders in our movement, waiting for them to make things right or to represent us or to assert our values on the world stage. There is I think there has been a much more global taking responsibility, owning our power is another way to put that. And it's not going to feel oppressive. It's going to feel just the opposite, because we're taking that authority back. We are refusing to be oppressed anymore, and we're taking back our own power. So, some questions for contemplation. I'm just going to zip over here to what did I want to start last year? Sit with that for a minute. Like in the realm of career, relationship, within yourself, your spiritual development, what did you want to happen last year? And because you can have that sense of assurance that it's going to happen this year, this Saturn, this slowing down, this is something else that's so supportive about Saturn, is that it pulls the reins back, even with Mars, which tends to be impatient. I want it now. Let's go, let's go, let's go. That Aries moving forward. Capricorn is taking Mars in hand and it's saying, good, I like your passion. Let's think about this. Let's plan it out. And that reining in it's like a loving father stepping in and saying, okay, something's happening here. Let's bring everyone to the table internally. Let's deepen into what we want to create, how we want to create it, with what energies, what intentions. Like, for example, for me, what popped in my head was joy. I want to wake up every morning and feel joy. I want to get there quicker. I want to be in gratitude. I want to be in this supportive, loving, playful, non-attached energy of, I'm just so grateful to have this life, this experience. Uranus, okay, this new moon in Aquarius, I've always thought of Uranus as, like in the card system and stuff, people in the Uranus line, or when you get a Uranus card and it comes up for you. The question is, am I going to sit on the sidelines as an observer and practice detachment? Like, I don't care, I don't have to care. That's why jacks, the irresponsibility of jacks, are associated with Uranus. Or the higher octave of Uranus is being a humanitarian, saying, I'm not attached. And now, from that place of non attachment, I can step in and participate. I can see clearly what needs to happen. I'm going to engage. But the energy of non-attachment is so much more powerful. And then with that Uranian energy, we can see things that we've never seen. It's the revolutionary. It looks at something in a way that nobody's looked at it before. Like with Samir Osmanagic, however you say his name, the guy that discovered the Bosnian pyramid. It happened because of an open mind, a shift in perspective. It was April of 2005, and he was visiting this town, Visovic, I think it's called. I know I butchered that name, in Bosnia, and he wanted to go to the museum, and he looked up at that hill that sits over the city, and he said, "That's a pyramid. The first one in how many thousands of years to look at something and see something that no one else has seen before, and now this massive undertaking, this discovery of the largest and oldest pyramid on the planet so far that we know about, over 34,000 years old." Just think how long ago that is. That's like a whole yuga and a half ago. Anyway, new perspectives, Aquarius. Okay, so I just thought I'd throw this in there because this is a good warning. Because of the Uranus-Saturn square with the new moon, there's an iffy energy. Is this what I want? With Uranus, and then Saturn brings clarity and strength. So there might be kind of a back and forth with, I think this is what I want. I don't know. Is this what I want? That changeability of Uranus. Allow that to be what it is. Squares are creative energies, but there is this energy of support also with Mars and Venus. It's going to alleviate a lot of that stress because we're going to be ready for this new opening that's coming. So, yes, what intention do you want to bring to your new endeavors? How do you want to do them? Okay, let me take another deep breath. Okay, so this was extremely useful. And this was a look at the personal planets. January 26th through February 14th, there is more of a Capricorn Saturn energy. And there's this energy the first half of the month of getting our house in order and adulting, taking care of things that need to be taken care of. And make sure you allow breaks for yourself. It's a lot of earth energy, practicality, goals, self-discipline, patience, self-reliance, determination, all of those words. And then the second half of the month, there's going to be a lot more Aquarian energy, which is freedom to be the self, attain your true individuality. This energy peaked through a while back because we went into it, but then we came out of it, and then we're going to be going back into it, this Mercury. Let's see. Here's another really good set of questions for the Venus and Capricorn energy. Now direct. Okay, so Venus in Capricorn takes your values seriously. Your values are, what do you want? What do you desire? What makes you comfortable? What makes you feel good? So, what is important and valuable to me? What feels good? This is a really good one to follow on the heels of that. With Saturn and Capricorn energy supporting Venus, it asks the question, what boundaries do I need to erect to protect these desires? So, an example of that, I really admire these YouTubers who can go into something and not say a darn thing about themselves. But it's also a little sterile. So, personal example of this, I realized my bedtime is something that I haven't crafted or spent a lot of energy creating that. I asked my son about it. He's 25 or 26. And I said, do you maintain a bedtime? Meaning going to bed before you get really sleepy. He said, yes, I really love my bedtime. I really nurture that space. I like getting on my jammies and brushing my teeth. Obviously I did a good job with that with him, but I don't with myself. So I realize that's a value that I have. I'm gonna create and craft a bedtime, and that way I'm gonna read more books. I'm gonna enjoy that part of my life a lot more. I'm gonna be intentional about my sleep. I'm gonna be able to have time to kind of shuffle out my day, just kind of sit quietly and think about it and do what we probably naturally do at bedtime if we allow space for it. So, what boundaries do I have to kick in there and be loyal to and disciplined about to protect this? The boundary means, sometimes it means this, not that. And for me, it means getting up from watching whatever TV I'm watching and saying, I'm not quite tired, but it's bedtime. Oh, there's Max trying to get out. Can you open the door? Usually he can. Well, he's going to have to wait. So that's an example. So what do you want, and what are the boundaries you're willing to erect to make that more possible? What feels good about discipline and Saturn to you? Really, it gets in your court and says, what do you want to accomplish? So, yes, going to end it there because that's really the key question. What do I want to create? Because I think now is kind of like the planning time. Okay, well, that's my video for now. It's nice to be back. And I pray that you find spaciousness to have the directive experience of something without having to name it or label it or think about it or have a concept. Just open yourself up to that experience, even if you don't know. Just open up your intention, even if you don't know how to get there. Say, I wish to be present and authentically experience this unknown, unscripted moment. Blessings.